Is your mini splits indoor wall mount air handler making a high-pitched squealing noise? I'm going to tell you what that noise could be. I'm going to show you how to take this indoor wall mount air handler apart, and I'm going to show you how to take out the indoor motor in case you have to replace it. You're watching Taddy Digest. I'm Tad. Let's get started. This is EG4 Electronics solar powered air conditioner. This is the indoor unit part. This is the indoor wall mount air handler. And anytime I get a call and a customer is explaining to me that they have a high-pitched squealing noise coming from this unit, typically I think it's got to be a bad motor. Why does the motor go bad? Why does it cause a high-pitched squealing noise? From lack of maintenance. The blower wheel that's connected to that motor shaft becomes dirty. And when it becomes dirty, it needs to be cleaned. If that wheel stays dirty for a long period of time, that imbalance causes a stress on the motor, and then the motor is bad and it causes a high-pitched squealing noise and it has to be replaced. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at that wheel, and I'm going to show you what needs to be cleaned and talk to you about how I perform maintenance on this type of unit. When I perform maintenance on a mini split, I use something called a maintenance bag, and I put that maintenance bag over this whole entire indoor unit. That allows me to be able to spray my coil cleaner on not only the evaporator coil, but also the wheel. And when I soak that evaporator and that wheel with coil cleaner, then I can let it set for 10 minutes. And after that, I can wash it out. And then that prevents water from getting on the floor. If you want to learn how to use a maintenance bag and clean a mini split like this, I put a video down below in the link in the description so you can learn more. Or you can click the video link right here. Now let's take this unit apart. Before we work on the air conditioning system, we should always disconnect the power. So turn off the breaker or pull the disconnect. These are the only two tools you will need to take this indoor unit apart and get to that indoor motor. You will need a flathead screwdriver and a Phillips screwdriver. You can also use a Phillips bit and a cordless drill, but just be careful not to over tighten the screws when you put them back in. Now for a step-by-step disassembly. So take the panel and lift it up. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this display and Wi-Fi panel loose. So we're going to take that one Phillips screw out, and then we're going to take this piece here, and it's just going to pop off like that. Now we're going to take the cover off for the electrical connections, and we're going to take it loose next. Now we've got our filters. Let's go ahead and take our filters out of the way because we want to get to our indoor room sensor or ambient sensor, which is right here. Then we're going to take the wire that connects to that sensor and we're going to undo it. Same thing for the display and Wi-Fi board. And now that we've got those two to where they're not going to get caught up when we take this middle frame off, now we can take the screws out for the middle frame. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we've got 3 down here. But what I want to do right now is I want to take this panel loose. So you see right here, all right, we're going to take this, and this piece is going to, if we push it back to the left, then we can loosen that up, and then we come over here to this one and push this one to the right, and then push the middle piece out of the way. Boom. Now our panel is disconnected and we can see everything a lot better. So now we're going to take the 4 screws for the middle frame loose. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we've got 3 screws that are down here underneath covers. Now if you want to be able to see them better, you can actually take this up and down vane off. I'm going to show you how to do that now. Now before we take that middle frame loose, we're going to take this up and down vane loose. So you see these pieces? Pop that one to the right, that one to the right, and then you're just going to take this vane, you're going to bend it down a little bit, and it's going to come out. So now we've got that piece off, and we can see where our screws are behind these covers. We've got one here, we got one here, and then we've got one here. 3 total screws, and we're going to take these screws out now one at a time. If you can't reach with your Phillips bit, get your Phillips screwdriver. And remember, when you're reassembling, you want to make sure that you don't over tighten the screws. All right, now that we've got those screws out of the way, we got one more step before we can take the middle frame off. Now the last step to get this whole middle frame off is you can take your flathead screwdriver and you can use it to push these up if you want, or you can just take your hand and pull them up, right? One, we got one over here, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at this. Now, this is the reason that we wanted to take that indoor ambient sensor loose and the display and Wi-Fi board. That way we can route those through this hole when we take the middle frame cover off. Now you can see our middle frame has been disassembled from the entire unit. After the middle frame has been disconnected, now we come over here on this side of the wall mount air handler where our bearing is, and you can see that we've got 2 screws, 1, 2, and this is connected to the plastic piece that's connected to the U-bends of the evaporator. So this holds the U-bends. So we're going to take this screw loose, and we're going to take this screw loose. Now we're going to come over here, and we've got this plastic piece, this plastic cover, which we're going to have to take this off to get to 2 screws that hold that motor in place. So we'll go ahead and take that loose. Then we've got our cover for our PCB. So we got this screw here. And once you take that screw out, then you can take this cover off. And then we've got a screw up top right here that holds that cover for the PCB in place. So now we'll take that screw loose, and then we can get all of this out of the way. Now we're going to cut this zip tie right here, and then we're going to take and undo this ground screw. So this ground screw has been disconnected. The next step is we're going to take and pull out this board because we need to disconnect a couple things, right? Now we don't need to leave this board hanging, so we can take and disconnect our plug to the board from our DC motor, and we can do that right now by taking and pushing this pin right here and then pulling this plug. And sometimes it's hard to do, so if you've got a thermostat screwdriver, then you may be able to take it and put it right here and then just push that up just a little bit without breaking it though. Don't break it. And then you can pull it right out. Then we've got our stepper motor plug. This is a white plug as well, and we're just going to take and push this piece and pull. There we go. And then we got one more. We've got our pipe sensor, and I'm going to go ahead and disconnect that pipe sensor right there. Now we don't have to leave this hanging. We can take and set this aside. Now we got a few more screws to take loose. You can see the screws we've got to take loose right here. We're going to go ahead and do that. Also, we got to take this plastic piece out of the way so that we can get to that screw back there and that screw as well. Now we're going to use our Phillips screwdriver to get to these 2 screws. One here, and then one right. Looks like we can't get to this one without a longer screwdriver. So you want to make sure you have a long screwdriver to get to that one. I got a longer extension. You can use a longer screwdriver. We have 2 more screws, and they may be a little bit hard to see, but you can see them right there. I got that one loose, and then this one. Now we got the screws loose, so we should be able to take this motor cover off. We can't take that off though until we get enough space in between that coil and the cover. Before we can take out the motor, we have to disconnect that blower wheel from the motor shaft. I want to show you that when you lift up this end of the coil, you can see this wheel, and this is what we've got to disconnect from that motor. To disconnect the blower wheel from the motor, there's a slot in the blower wheel. You're going to turn the blower wheel until you see the slot. Once you see the slot, in that opening is going to be a Phillips screw. That is a set screw that holds the hub of the wheel tight to the shaft. And whenever you want to take that motor out, you got to loosen up that screw. So you're going to take your Phillips screwdriver, you're going to insert the screwdriver into the slot, and you're going to loosen up that screw. Once you get your Phillips screwdriver on that screw, loosen it up. Now we should be able to remove that wheel from the shaft of the motor. Now, first thing we want to do is lift up this end of the coil. There's a bearing right here, this little rubber bushing. There's this white plastic piece that surrounds it. We're going to take this plastic piece and you're going to lift it up. You're going to remove that little rubber piece. Now you can see the end of the wheel and the shaft. We're going to take and lift this wheel up and we're going to pull it out. You cannot pull the wheel out until you loosen up that set screw. So don't try to pull the wheel out. Now this is what needs routine maintenance. And this wheel, if it gets dirty, it becomes unbalanced, and this is what will cause that motor to have to be replaced. 3 main reasons you want to clean this blower wheel. 1, if you don't clean it, it's going to cause the unit to shake. Number 2, it's going to cause the motor to go bad. Number 3, it's going to affect the performance of the air conditioning system, and it's going to affect the airflow, and that affects the performance. Now to take the motor out, we have to lift up the coil. It's much easier to take and loosen up the flare connections and actually disconnect those copper connections that connect the indoor unit or indoor heat exchanger to the line sets. That way you have more slack and you can lift this coil up more. I'm going to try to do it without disconnecting line sets. So first we want to take out this first plastic piece that covers this end of the motor, and then we're going to take and we're going to lift up this coil here as much as we can, and then we're going to pull out this cover. And you can see that the motor's already starting to move, and I could probably grab this motor here and I can spin it around, but I need to take out this cover. So lifting up this coil as much as I can, and then see, there we go. Now we can take out this motor here. See that? And there's the motor. Once you've removed the brushless DC motor from that indoor wall mount air handler, you can then spin the shaft to see if you hear an unusual noise, or if the shaft is hard to spin, that's an indication that you have a bad bearing in that motor. This was a step-by-step guide of how to take apart the indoor wall mount air handler and how to take out the indoor motor. I hope you enjoyed this EG4 electronics tutorial. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe, and smash that bell. If you learned something, let me know what it was down in the comments. If you got a question, questions can lead to new content. If you want more EG4 training like this, I'm going to put more videos down in the link in the description, so go check out those videos. If you need a solar-powered air conditioner, check out Signature Solar. They've actually got solar-powered air conditioners from sizes 12,000 BTU to 24,000 BTU. And they're AC, DC hybrid models. So they don't only run on AC power, they also run on DC power, which is provided by the PV array. They've also got solar kits for these air conditioning systems where they sell not only the mini split, but they also bundle together the solar panels that are used to power that air conditioning system. If you want a discount at Signature Solar, use discount code TADDY50 to get $50 off of your order. You've been watching Taddy Digest. I'm Tad, and I'll keep you cool if you let me.